Hi guys, welcome to the season finale of Lawlor's Law, where it's been a crazy season. So this is your raw and filtered Birmingham City podcast, where we're just going to talk some shit for a little bit about how this has gone. Because personally, I think it's been a bit shit. But first of all, we're joined with Jord. How are we getting on?
How are we, lads? Good evening.
Yeah, man, all good, all good. Josh, how are we getting on?
Not too bad, mate. Yourself?
All right, mate, all good, all good. And the return of Mad Max. How are we doing, Mush?
Oh,
I'm well rested and ready to shout, scream, and moan for as long as we possibly can because I've got a lot of built-up anger and aggression from the last few weeks. I'm sure you've all missed the angry segments, but don't worry, don't fear. I'm back. I'm ready to go.
And he's going to be back with a bang, I'm sure. So let's just cut straight into it then. Season review. Who wants to start on how we think the season went? Shall we go with Jord?
yeah, man. I said last week, I'm kind of stat padding this week. I've kind of kept it to myself throughout the season, but I've got my very trusty fat mob tactics down. I think we've spoke a few times over the season. How I go to it for a lot of try and fact check as much as I can. But yeah, I think the tale of the tape is there for us all to see, and it we're going to get to it throughout the night. And I'm just going to get him riled up, get that Disney mentality out of his head now, and we'll go with the idea of Max. We all know what you're going to say, and this season has been a disappointment. And the same people that are saying that it hasn't been a disappointment are the same ones saying that, Jay Stansfield hasn't been as productive as last season. So I just want to chuck in massively straight away. A lot of we seen a comment last week, about Stano and building the team around him, and I've said before, I couldn't agree more. I think the laddie is the future of this team. Again, 16 goal involvements this season. 10 goals, 6 assists, bang average season for him, I'd say. But when was the last time that we had someone that could chuck out consistently double figures throughout a season? I think, was it Che Adams would have been the last really to do consistent back-to-back seasons? If correct me if I'm wrong there, but
I would say potentially Hogan, but that's only based on the fact that he was the only striker at the times we had, and he was a tapping
I don't
merchant.
think he did back-to-back, did he? I swear he didn't do back-to-back.
No, I know he got goal. I know he got top goal scorer a few times back to back, but it was very low numbers.
This is the thing: is you go joint goal scorers, Duction and Stano, which Dutch, we've all had our say on the situation and how it. I'm not going to say ended because we don't know if it is an end, even though the rumours that we're hearing are that he's on his way out. Dimmy, again, 5 goals, 5 assists. We probably wanted more. But then we get to the interesting stats. And I know you lads will probably all chime in with me here on this one. Goals conceded per match, we were 5th in the league with 1.2. Average possession. Now, this is a big one for me going forward because we wanted Davis to change something, and we were saying that he was refusing to change his tactics. And I think the big thing is this stat is the one this season that we need to look at. 53.7% possession for this whole season. We were 7th in the league. Middlesbrough were top with 59.5. If he was successful in applying his tactic, we would be number 1 in that league, or at least number 2. His whole thing is keeping possession, playing pretty football, and it's clearly not worked. We've dropped possession stats, which it's always going to be harder in the Championship. Now, I'm not turning around and I'm saying that I was expecting League One style, where we had, I think it was like 75% possession throughout the season. But then you go to the points, 23 games played at home, 12 wins. 23 away, 5 wins. That if that doesn't tell you where this season was let down, I don't know what else will. 5 draws away from home, 8 at home, 3 losses at home, 13 losses away, 20 points picked up on the road, 44 at home. That is devastating. Like, I don't care what you think about Davis or the players or anything else. That isn't acceptable. That's just not. It's not acceptable. You look at the teams that are challenging up there. Average, it's a lot higher. Even if it's just draws away from home and a few more draws at home, the average is higher. It's been such an absolute rotter of a season for stuff like that. XG, 63.2, 7th in the league, which I think with the big chances we've created, we've all had our gripes with Kyogo and other players not taking their chances. But I think that speaks hugely into kind of the stats itself. And if you take away one thing from what I've said so far, boys, it's that we are within the top 10 of all of those stats, right? We didn't finish in the top 10 in terms of we didn't get the overall outcome. It wasn't until the last 4 games we actually seen anything of a desired push to get into that playoff places. And I'm sick of hearing this whole, and Max, I'm going to steal your thunder here because I know you're going to go straight in with it, but I'm sick of hearing this whole, our best finish in so many years. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about our best finish. You know what I mean? That's not going to fucking win me any money at a horse race, is it? If I have a best finish, I want a winner. And that's the thing, is that we had a team that we were looking at, and you can rewind back and look at all of the podcasts, all of the YouTube videos, all of the, media outputs that were talking about Blues at the start of the season, was that we were the favourites. We were the ones that were going to do it this season. We were the ones that you had to fear. And no one's feared us. If anything, we've been the complete opposite. People have actually been looking forward to playing us because at times we've been predictable. We've been in a rut and people know that we're there for the taking. It's only once or twice if we come out and genuinely shock someone, and I think the games like Coventry and Wrexham come to mind at home, where we have genuinely kind of showed our teeth a little bit and showed that desire to want to do something throughout the season. And I don't want to come on here and sound completely miserable because, again, I said it last week. We've had good moments throughout the season. We've had some absolute fucking great times. The 2 4-0, what was it, 3 4-0s back to back?
4-0, 4-0, and 4-1, yeah.
Yeah. Coventry at home, great. Sheffield Wednesday away, as much as it was an absolute drag and it was quiet from being their point of view, seeing Kyogo score that goal and watching how much it meant to the whole team to go and celebrate with him. There's been points throughout this season where I'm like, fuck, like we're actually like, we're still there. We're still there or thereabouts. And I think that's a big takeaway, is that we're still building. Maybe we should lower our expectations, but I don't want to. I don't want to lower my expectations. And I do sound like a spoiled brat when I say it. I don't want to lower my expectations. And I don't want to go into next season lowering my expectations, but I've already had a bit of a dampener knowing the teams that we're going to have to face are a lot harder than what we faced this season. I mean, Wolves aren't going to come down and roll over, I don't think. I don't think they will. Burnley are another one of them teams, same as like a Southampton. They're just going to be there, aren't they? There or thereabouts, or an Ipswich. They're just going to be there or thereabouts. They might have a drop-off at some point where you go, oh, this isn't the team that came down. But you know what Burnley are going to offer? They'll sell off their Premier League players and they'll recruit very good Championship players. And I think that's a big thing now is for me. And I think we'll kind of pass this over to Josh with this one for the transfers. He's kind of, we need to recruit better. It's all right chucking all the money in the world out of the players that we paid out for. And I've said it time and time again, and people can go back and they'll find it in the comments and they'll find where I've said it. It's that we didn't sign the right people for the right places. If you've got inexperience as a manager, you need experience on the pitch. If you've got experience off the pitch and in the back room, then maybe you can go a bit more inexperienced off the pitch because the experience will carry over from the dressing room. But if the inexperience in the dressing room needs to have more experience out on the pitch. And that's my big thing is now going forward. Yes, I'd like to see some flashy players. And I know that I mentioned Sano last week. I would like to see a couple of older heads coming in, a couple of those players that I know for a fact are going to sort that changing room out and get the boys behaving the right way.
Yeah, fantastic. Love that.
Definitely one of those.
Love that. So, Josh, do you want to go through some transfers and then we'll let Max slowly brew into his angry rant that's surely coming?
I don't know why you've come for me to transfers. I ain't got a ski with you, mate. As much as I see it in our group chat, I don't pay attention to them because I ain't got a clue who half the players are. But like George just said, you look at the players we brought in last season. People like Kyogo, can't even think what the other guy's name is. Fujimoto, Neumann, Brighter Samuel, Wagner coming in. Apart from Jack Robinson and Brighter Samuel for one season, there's no one really championship top half experience in there. We should have been, I said it before, we should have been looking at players like Josh Brownhill, who was leaving Burnley. He'd have been a great player to have brought into that middle of the park in that 10 role. You're looking at players like Grant Hanley, who we let go. We didn't excite him on. Okay, yes, he wasn't the best person overall, but he's got a solid head on him. He's experienced getting out of the championship. He knows what he's looking for. We haven't got a team, like George said, we've got a manager who's inexperienced in the league. Now, looking through a lot of teams yesterday, and you look at, after watching the Southampton game, you look at a lot of the way football is at the moment. The teams that have the old school managers, so your West Ham having David Moyes, people like Leicester brought Gary Rowett in. Yeah, okay, he's not old to say, but he's the old school style of playing football. They're struggling now compared to these younger, newer managers who are bringing in the style of football that football is now. Football's changed a lot over the last 5 years, if not the last 2 or 3 years, of the way it needs to be played. And these younger managers, you get in them from France in the lower leagues, you get in them from Austria and all those kind of leagues. They're adapting to the football 3-4 years ahead of everyone else. So they know what they're looking at. Look at Southampton, brought in Will Still thinking he was going to be the best thing this season. They were 17th, 18th, something like that. They brought in this new guy and they're now at the playoff final. Hull have brought in a young manager as well this season. You look at Middlesbrough, who had Rob Edwards, who's unfortunately gone to Wolves and fortunately got relegated, thank God. But at Middlesbrough, he had them absolutely flying. That change happens. They have a few games that was a real rocky patch. They brought in a new young manager. Next season, they'll be up there again. Coventry, even Frank Lampard will be able to adapt with the football because he's still young enough to learn what it is. He's not spent 10 years in management and knows the old school way, like Fergie and the Peps and the Klopps. I think Klopp did the right thing with Liverpool. On a bit of tangent, but Klopp did the right thing with Liverpool, leaving, knowing that the style of play they were playing wasn't going to be suited for the football anymore. And look what's ultimately happened with Slot. I think young managers are the way. Davis being a bit inexperienced, you're sitting there going, if we've got him next season, that works. If you bring in 6 or 7 players, I can see Max seething at the fact of keeping Davis for next season already. But 6 or 7 players need to be coming in. People like Mitrovic we were lined up with. That would have been, any Blues fan would have took him at the beginning of the season, and you'd take him now because he scores goals in the league. Like I said, Josh Brownhill was another one. Even people like Hannibal, who a load of people, you can say what you like about him, but he's a good player. Someone like that in the midfield that's going to get stuck in from day one, not your undroppables that barely stick a foot in, and if they do put a foot in, they're getting yellow carded because it's a pointless tackle. We haven't got the experience to get out of the league. We haven't got the experience to push high up in the league. We've brought in bang average players that some of them have looked good in a team that's shit. Like Kai Wagner looks incredible, but if you've got every player playing at the same ability as him, he's going to be 10 times better. Borat Asai Samuel's been bag of shit all season, but if you've got players around him, it's going to make him look better because, well, if you've got the shit players around him, it's going to make him stand out and look better. If you start putting the Vicente in front of him from the beginning of the season, the Clara and the Neumann partnership next to him, I don't think he comes back from the African Cup of Nations a Birmingham City player, because it would show that he was the weakest link. Unfortunately, he had players half-arsed in front of him that couldn't be asked to play. We had a defence that was all over the fucking gaff. We got a goalkeeper who can't pass a fucking ball. And it made him look good at times, and must have looked good in training into Davis, because he can run. All you've seen on players, they're putting posts out about Neumann at the end of the season, about Clara, player of the season. And I think he deserved player of the season, if I'm honest. One of our best players, solid for a second season in a row. He's going to be massive next season again. I just think he needs a bit more of an experienced player at the back of him, which me and Jay have spoke about it quite a few times. I think a back three next season is the ideal way you go with him. Bring in someone experienced. I think Jake Cooper from Millwall, even, as much as they're not going to want to sell their players, I think he's a great player that would come in and give you that experience at the back, the leadership, the power, the trust. And he scores goals. Someone that Clara needs next to him. Neumann, I think, was a bit out of his depth at times, but ultimately, last 10 games of the season, he come into the squad, and he looked great because we had Cashin and Robinson before him, and Panzo. Like, 3 players come in that absolute shit, and it does make you question: is Neumann going to be able to do it again next season? Is he as good as we think, or was it the fact that we've had shit before him that he's the shiniest shit of them all? I'll be quite excited to see it, but obviously bringing other players in with him. But I don't get how. I think I read something the other day that throughout this whole season, we only ever had once, maybe twice, started with Laird, Clara, Neumann, and Wagner at the back. Mm-hmm. And you sit there looking from January, the first 4 or 5 games Wagner played, we won every game and we looked incredible with him. And you sit there going, Laird come back from injury. Millwall was one of his first games back. He looked awful. And then he kind of slowly built in. And the last 10 games he pushed on and was back to the Laird we know. And you sit there going, those last 10 games when it was vital and you're picking Brighter Sai Samuel or Awata, Laird sat on a bench for 90 minutes. What the fuck is going wrong? Where's this tactical choice coming from? Because it's the wrong decision. But there's no other experience there. We got rid of Samstead, who's a great right back. Davis probably couldn't even tell you why we got rid of him. You got rid of Alfie May. Again, what was the decision behind getting rid of Alfie May? A guy that would have scored probably 10, 15 goals a season, would have pushed people like Jay to be at his best because he snapped at your ankles to take your position. And that's what worked last season. You got rid of, I know you guys don't like him, but I quite liked Thor and thought that there was potential that right players around him, he could play good 25, 30 minutes at the end of a game and he could be impactful. You got rid of Keshi Anderson, who at some points this season, as much as he's gone out and he's said bad things about our management, sometimes this season he was probably our better player on the pitch. Yet just didn't get game time. You brought in Dimmy, who had a 5-game run where he scored in all games. Done fuck all else around the season. He had done 5 or 6 good games, got injured, did fuck all. Vincente's come in, done really well. I'm quite excited to see him next season. Patrick Roberts come in on a permanent. Had him for the first bit of the season, really, really good. Bring him on a permanent, you bring in a player to replace him, and you lose the confidence in Patrick Roberts, and you question what's going on there.
That one still baffles me. The Patrick Roberts signing still absolutely baffles me.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why you'd go, let's sign Patrick Roberts on a permanent. All the Blues fans are buzzing. Then you bring Vincente in. And I'm not going to sit there and say it's a bad decision because I think Vincente's showing that he is going to be one of our players for the future. And it'll be like a Jay Stansfield. Look, he's got a few years to play with us and it'll be building around him. But I don't know why you've signed Roberts to then bring in a guy to replace him and then stick Roberts on the bench for the rest of the season. Why have we signed Kanya Fujimoto for him to play 4 games all season? Why are we bringing in players like this? We're bringing in too many foreign players to try and be like, we can bring these in because they were really good in the Japanese 3rd league for 1 season. We brought Kyogo in, expecting him to be the Celtic Kyogo. He hadn't played for 6 months before he came to us. And people are like, he ain't played. Yeah, okay, he ain't played, but why are we bringing him in? Why are we not going and looking at and paying the money to get Mitrovic, who we all know was very much a big target from rumours and stuff like that was going out. If that's a big target you want in and you go, we can't get Mitrovic, we'll have Kyogo instead, something's got to be questioning with Craig Gardner and the recruitment team of going, well, why have you gone from a guy that you know will score 40 goals in the league to a guy who ain't played for 6 months? And then we wait till January to then sign Prisk. We could have brought Prisker in the summer, maybe had it so he doesn't come to us until the December when their league finishes. He comes fresh out of playing football straight into a team to play, and you get a full season with him. Instead, we've gone, oh, we wanted him in the summer. Oh, we can't have him in the summer. Oh, we'll go from in January. Let's just get Kyogo for now, who's scored, one league goal all season, 2 cup goals. And then for the last 8-9 games, weren't even in the selected team. I get, obviously, there was an injury and stuff like that, but just before that, he weren't ever being selected. Then you've got Marvin Dutch that's come in, and I still baffled at how he's played as many games as he's played. I get he scored 12 goals, or 10 goals, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But it's not like he was massive in any games. He was the one player, if you sit there and you go, an award for a guy that can be in a game and you wouldn't know he was on the fucking pitch, Marvin Dutch. Because there were some games where you sit there and it would be on the commentary and I'm watching it and go, Dutch on the ball, and I'm going, fucking hell, I didn't know Dutch was on the pitch. And he just passes it straight back to the other team and they fucking go up the other end. There's very questionable decisions. I think Leonard going out on loan, I will never understand that. I think if I put it out there, I don't know if you guys are going to agree, but I think Leonard, probably one of our best midfielders in the club.
So,
Guys are Rolls Royce.
Can I just add some on to that with the Leonard situation? And it's just briefly, and I want to see a kind of vote across the board here of I could be completely missing the mark, but Tommy Doyle, when we signed him, had us all on the edge of our seats that he was going to be the next big thing. And whether it's down to him not being able to show us, I'm guessing that we're going to see him against with Wolves next season, and he's going to absolutely rip us to shreds. But in the long term, and you know, I want everyone to kind of chime in on this. Leonard, to me, offers you more than what Tommy Doyle has at points this season. And I think that it was a wasted loan slot that we could have just kept Leonard in for the amount of games that Doyle got played. I think Leonard would have been happy with those amount of games and would have probably made more of an impact.
I think if you've kept Leonard in our team, you'd have probably found that Leonard and John Solis would have ended the season as our midfield pairing, because I think they'd adapt and work well with each other. Obviously, looking at the SPL at the SPFL, whatever it is at the moment, and he's gone to Hearts, absolute Rolls Royce their midfield, helping them currently on the brink of winning the league for the first time, and I think it was like 53 years or something they said the other day. And I don't get me wrong, the Hearts have got a full team that they're building around, but he's gone there and won that slot in that central midfield role, and he's playing every week. It's not like he's gone there to sit on the bench and play 20 minutes. Like, the other player that I don't understand why we got rid of, and I understand he had a big injury and I get it, but Alfie Chang is very young, a lot of potential. And then with these boys, people like Paik, Iwata, Leonard, Doyle, John Solis in that midfield role, training with him every day, he'd have got his fitness back up. He'd have been a solid player to have in that midfield. But Blues have this habit, if we get young players through and we come off. And I just don't understand why. But Alfie Chang and Mark Leonard are two solid sales that we've made this season that I was like, I can't understand why we've done those. Like, they're players that could have been potentially massive for us. I still think, as much as I know you boys definitely ain't going to agree, I think someone keeping like Grant Hanley, but also keeping someone like Dion Sanderson would have been massive, because he's an experienced player that could have come in.
Ben Davis. Go back for Ben Davis again.
Bielik.
Bielik, yeah.
Well,
versatile player that could have played anywhere. Him and John Solis in that midfield would have been incredible. I'm
not with Bielik. My only issue is yes, the experience side, but longevity wise, he hasn't gone to West Brom and lit any kind of fires. And I'm not saying that Ben Davis has, don't get me wrong, but Ben Davis has played a lot more. He was a better player last season for us than when we had Bielik in the team. You know, I loved Bielik. I'm not saying that I didn't, but Ben Davis offered you more in terms of mobility, in terms of him and Clara worked really well together, whereas I think Bielik struggled next to Clara because it was kind of, I don't want to say, you know, it was, but it was kind of like he'd stole the limelight away from him as the captain and so on. But Ben Davis was happy to just sit back and do his job next to Bielik. And I think that was someone really that we've missed this season.
I think Ben Davis coming into the start of the season, I said it before, for the first 10 games, Clara was miles away from it.
Yeah.
He was completely lost. If you've got someone like Ben Davis who's experienced in this league and knows this league next to Clara don't drop that form, because Clara and Davis are on a high because they were the best defensive partnership last year. They're going to come into this season on the push wanting to get a back-to-back promotion. Bet Davis is experienced, so he's kind of a leader that can sit there and explain to Clara, like, look, it's going to be tougher, but this is what you're going to kind of expect or know how to play it. You can work this, work that. Bielik would have been a great player to have pushed up with John Solis and had him in that centre midfield. As much as people were like, oh, he was a centre-back when he was younger and then all this, he came to Blues as a centre defensive mid. He played his best football in that first season with us as a centre defensive mid. That is where I'd play him. Like you said, he's gone to West Brom. He's done nothing major at West Brom. I've got a couple Baggies fans that are like, oh, the best games that Bielik's played, he's played CDM. And I think that is still his favourite position, best position, and where he plays best. He could play that a bit further forward. Yes, okay, he's a bit slow on the ball, but if you've got someone like John Solis next to him, or even a Mark Leonard, that's the quickness on the ball to get it out, Bielik thrives in that place because all he's got to be is that hard man that stops the tackles coming through. And he can do that with his eyes closed. And if he gets through him, you've then got Bielik and Ben Davis behind him. And worst comes to worst, you bring Neumann still into that, and you've got Ben Davis, Neumann, or Clara behind him. And you ain't got to worry about it. I think there's just a few decisions. Knighthead are still learning how to run a football club, how to tackle the championship, and I will back them till the day that I die. We'll always support Blues. I just think maybe they need to look at a bit more experience on the sideline in the whole coaching team, not just Davis, the whole of the coaching team. More experience on the pitch. And unfortunately, as much as I love Craig Gardner, I think there needs to be a more experienced head in that scouting recruitment role, because I just don't think Craig is going to be able to bring the players in that we want, can't get them deals done. Where I think if we brought someone in from like a mid-Premier League team that might leave, you might be looking at someone that can go, right, I've got the pull to get you that player and get you this player and get you that. How we signed Jay Stansfield, Iwata, and all those in League One is beyond me. And then we go into the Championship and we don't sign players of those calibers. It's confusing, but there's a team there that you've got a baseline that we'll build on for next season. There are a lot of names out there that potentially could come in.
I've got some. I have got some, and I don't really. I want to try and get onto Max and Jay quick, but I would just like to kind of reel off a couple, because obviously that's the one thing that I've said throughout the season. I kind of keep my finger on the pulse where it comes to players that I want to look at. And as much as I agree, Josh, I think going forward, I don't think we need a striker next season. I think we really need to look at sticking with Priska and Stano as a front two, whether that's one in the 10, one up top. I think Kyogo's your bit part, Alfie May kind of role, comes in when we need him. Because I don't think Kyogo is going anywhere. I think this shoulder surgery, maybe see what he's like when he returns from that. Potentially keep hold of Dutch. If not, that'll be your only replacement to look at. Is someone in that role.
Can I just quickly jump in, George? If you're getting rid of Dutch, I'd be having the Swansea striker. Is it Vopolnik?
You no chance of getting him. No chance. I like, mate.
I would throw away, mate.
I would chuck money now on one of the promoted teams having him as their first choice striker. I don't know how he'd work with Hadji Wright at Cov, but I mean, the fact that Chuba Akpom has signed to Ipswich on a permanent, and you've got a player like Vipotnik who will be still on everyone's radar, Ipswich will turn around and go, right, he's not worked out. Yeah, here's Akpom on a loan plus, 20 million, we'll have Vipotnik off you. Like, that's the sort of thing I can see happening.
It's still a player that I'd be trying to get, though. Like, even if he does go to a Premier League team, I wouldn't mind losing out to a Premier League team. It's if he goes to someone like Borough and he's starting to go in, why are we fighting with championship teams? We should be outdoing these championship teams and getting these players in. We should never have had that argument with Akpom if he's going to go Ipswich or Blues. He should have been picking us, and we should be having that recruitment for us. If Vopotnik is going to go to another club and ends up being a championship team, it has to be us. I can't Premier League team, if he goes to Coventry or Ipswich somewhere, you sit and you go, fair enough, he wants the Prem move. But if he goes to another Championship club and isn't looking at Blues, where we're looking at getting the best striker of the season in, that's where I'd be going, what is going on with our recruitment? Because that's what we need to be looking at. Sorry.
In terms of players I want to look at, just to kind of go back to last week's pod, I just want to kind of give a shout out to one of the comments from A. Wright, who said to check out Eisen Maeda, great shout. Silas Anderson as well, another one. There was a couple more on there I didn't really get a chance to have look through. One I would be kind of looking at, and he won't cost you a lot of money, and I don't know in terms of how long. He's 30 years old, centre-back from Bromley. His name's, I'm going to butcher this, lad. Sorry, I'm reading this off my phone as we're speaking. Omar Suwanumi. Absolute tank. Like, I'm not even just bullshitting, you know. His stats here are, as a 30-year-old centre-back in League Two, 40 matches, 7 goals, 1 assist, with an average rating of 7.52. He would be someone that I'd be like, if you've seen the guy, you'd understand. Like, he is an absolute unit. And I know I've just spoke about, you know, getting experience in. And yes, he's not got experience in Championship per se, and he's been more of a non-league to lower leagues player. He would be the right fit next to a Clara because he's fucking huge. From what I've seen from the odd clips that I've researched as well, quite mobile. Obviously, he's going to get you some goals in a season. I know that we're talking League Two up to Championship is a big step up, but he is that caliber of player that I would be looking at. Another one is it Max Cleary from Barnsley, the winger? Another one I'd definitely be having on the radar.
Scott Twine.
Yeah, Scott Twine. I mean, I think there's already been kind of whispers about him being a free agent, mate. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I think there's been rumours of him being a free agent, but yeah, they're the kind of big ones for me. And Kodai Sano, the one that I mentioned last week, is, I mean, for all intents and purposes, if I'm sat in that board now, and if we are serious about next season, that lad is the one. Sano is the one that you go and chuck your big money at, and I'd be happy with a couple of frees and loans after that, and just kind of maybe try and stick with what we can. The other big thing we need to mention is the fact that Clara's really come into his own, and he's been the player of the season, and we know what he did last season. He's our captain this season, and he's, you know, Josh, you were right, slow off the mark, but once he gets into his stride, that bloke, he's second to none. He has been at fault a lot this season, and we have called it out on here. You know, we've pointed the finger at too many people, and Clara gets away with it one too many times. But I think that is kind of a credit to how much of a likable person he is within that team, and how much of a unit he is to gel that team together. My big issue is now, do we keep hands off him in the summer? And how do we keep hands off him in the summer? Yes, he's your captain. Yes, he's here long term. But realistically, if one of those newly promoted teams or a lower sided Prem team comes in, or one of the newly relegated teams comes in, if you're Clara, are you saying no?
Yeah.
I personally would hope, because of the respect that we've shown him as a club, and the fact that he has been our player of the season, and he was given captaincy within a season, I'd hope that he kind of sticks with us. But that's my one worry, is that we could lose him.
I don't think he goes anywhere, to be fair. I think, like you said, bringing him in and the captain after a season, first season back in the Championship, and we've gone, let's put all our trust in this guy. I think he's got too much respect. And I think it's now, after 2 seasons, he wants that big Premier League move with Birmingham City. He did an interview the other week where he said he fell in love with the club. That's what you need from players. Players fall in love with the club and they want to stay here, like Stano has, where I think some players just haven't quite had that link with the club.
The thing is, as well, is he's had his first baby, his first baby here in Birmingham. So, you know, that's a huge one. I'd look at that, that young Osman lad from, what team was it again? Leicester for 40 mil. Oh, he's a good winger. I'd look at now. I would look at Osman for another 2 seasons. I think I mentioned this last week. I'd want a 2-year loan on Osman if Brighton are willing to kind of budge on it. I don't think we're going to get him permanently. I don't think that he's within our remit money-wise, but I would definitely look at him going off of Leicester, whatever they want.
Talking of Brighton, though, I know there was a name thrown into our group chat earlier. Adam Webster looking to move away from Brighton.
Yeah. So. But yeah, I think, James, do you have anything really that you'd add on to any of them names?
I was just going to launch it straight into Max, and then I'll come in at the end if you want. Sorry, my dog's also going ballistic outside, so I'm going to get him in while Max starts this.
Max, let's welcome back the Madhouse.
Hi. Hello.
And we've wound that hook in. We've been feeding you the bait. We've been waiting.
Hang on, last one. Brightest Eye Samuel player of the season. Max, take it away.
I think he's the wanker of the season, to be honest. I can't. apart from him and Chris Davis as a group. Wow, there's a lot there, isn't there? I've sat very patiently and listened to a lot. There's a lot of good points, lots and lots of good points made. I'll come back to the Leonard conversation, George, because you asked all of our opinions on it. I think the Leonard one is a bit of hindsight and the beauty of hindsight, really, because there was a lot of conversation around Leonard when he was meant to be going and whether it was on loan or what. And I think people were bothered, but they weren't as bothered as they are now, I think, because of how he's performed at Hearts. I think there's a lot of it. And in hindsight, what has happened is that he has been let go to go and play football and go and show what he's about in a team that's going to let him show what he's about. So he's gone into a midfield. He's got good, strong players around him. He's shackles off, which is what, we know Davis likes to not do. And he's been allowed a bit of freedom. And guess what? The guy has come out of his shell and he's shown exactly what he's about. When he was at Blues, we didn't really know too much about him because, it was shackles on and I think him and Davis potentially had a bit of a falling out, we would say. Him, Keshi, Dykes, the ones that seemed to stand up to Davis were the first ones that seemed to be shipped out because they didn't fit Davis's mould of, if you're not going to listen and do it my way, I don't want you here, which is what I think happened to Keshi, Dykes and Leonard specifically. But it's amazing what you can do when you let a player go and play his football and play the way he wants to, and he can show you what he's about, which is exactly what's happened. So in hindsight, we're all annoyed that we didn't get that Leonard and we haven't seen it. And now we're not likely to see it maybe ever again because he's as Jordan pointed out before we started recording, he's done his Achilles and it could be 9 months plus that it's going to take to get back. And those injuries, Achilles injuries, are obviously ACLs are hard and MCLs, but Achilles injuries are so difficult to come back to because you're pushing off all the time. You're so scared of it popping again and going again. So don't think you ever have that same acceleration as you did before. A real tough one to take that for him, and I feel really sorry for him because I think only 3 weeks ago when I was last on, I mentioned it, and then I asked you boys to mention it for me while I was away because I wanted to point out that in hindsight would be actually really good to see him back and play for Blues. Now, I actually said to you that I wanted him to come back and play under a different manager because he's not going to come back and play under Davis because you'll just get the same Leonard again, which was the one that wasn't succeeding well enough because he wasn't being allowed to. That's my opinion on Leonard. Kyogo, I agree with Jordan. I think he stays. I've heard a rumour that he's on 40 grand a week. 40 grand a week. And he scored 1 league goal. Alfie May would have bagged 5. Alfie May would have bagged 5 goals. And whether they were tap-ins or not, or maybe the odd penalty, we didn't get that many, but Alfie May would have bagged 5 and he would have been on a fraction of that money. And he would have been given a chance to prove himself in a league that he always said he wanted to play in, and he's still not because he's not been given that chance. And I think Josh said it as well. I think it's crazy that Alfie May was let go. I just think it's wild.
Can I just throw one thing out, Max, as well, on the note of Kyogo? I don't know how true it is, but there's rumours circulating that in the purchase of Kyogo, we also got rid of the release clause of Jordan James to bring him back if we wanted to the buyback.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how true that is, lads, if anyone wants to quote, but I read something about in order to get Kyogo, we might have had to got rid of the clause to bring Jordan James back if we wanted to.
Personally, I'm not that. There's going to be people that disagree because I've seen a lot of people asking for him back, but personally, I don't really mind that too much. Yes, he's good for Leicester. Yes, he was an academy boy, but leave the past there. Just I'm not too sure whether I'd want him back as much as our midfield probably needs a shake up. I'm not really that bothered.
Yeah.
I just think it emphasises Max's point of busted flush. That's all.
Yeah,
well, it is, and he was Kyogo was, but he's now got an opportunity to have a good pre-season, which is what he didn't get, as Josh pointed out before he came. Have a really good pre-season, and go into next season and hit the ground running. He will probably play a bit part, but then I also agree with Jordan that the strike force that we have to stick with is Prisk and Jay. That is that strike force is shown you in the last 4 games. That's what we need to stick with, and I can't believe anybody that wouldn't think otherwise, really, because they just started to tick, and I wish that it had happened a lot sooner. But we kept playing Marvin Dux, who, like Josh said, he didn't even know he was on the pitch, and that's for a different day. But I've had my issues with Dux all over the season, but it was good to see Prisk and Jay working. Jay is a striker. He's a fucking striker, and you cannot tell me. This is where I start to come into my own because I start to get pissed off. Jay Stanfield is a fucking striker. Stop playing him on the left wing. Stop playing him in the number 10. He can play there, but the 2 blokes, Prisk and Jay, get them up front, get them fit, get them firing. Obviously, Jay's on crutches at the awards, so he needs to sort himself out. But the guy didn't even have a rest. He played the England under-21s after a long League One season, and then he was straight back into the Championship. And I don't think that he looked the same this year because I think he always looked like he had a knock. Every time he came off, he was struggling. So whether he was on injections or cortisone, I don't know, to get him through. But he never looked 100% Jay. So let's get Jay Stansfield rested and let's get him back fit and firing as well. Kyogo can play his part, and we'll see what happens. I don't think Dux. I know there's rumours of Hertha Berlin coming in for Dux. Maybe I don't think he'll probably go anywhere. And we've had our big podcast on the drink driving situation, and I said I didn't necessarily want to see him again. I still don't, but you have to deal with what you lump with, don't you? So if he stays, he stays. We're going to have to get behind him, and that brings me nicely onto Mr. Chris Davis, my good friend, Mr. Chris Davis. That it looked very much like the way the season ended, and the kind of the murmurings around the football club and the fan base is that he probably will be given at least the start of the season, whether that's 10 games or towards the first international break or the second international break. I don't know. But it looks like he's going to be given another pre-season. He's going to have some targets that he wants to meet and get in the summer. He's probably, him and Gardner, I think they'll still work together, Josh. I think they'll carry on over the summer and they'll be given another chance from Nighthead. That's what I think. And we'll probably start the season with him. There are lots and lots of our fans that have a very short memory, I think, and I don't know what's happened to that memory and what's happened to them personally. But I think there was a period where I think about 95% of the fan base wanted him gone, and I think it was around March or April. I think that sort of time there was about 95% of the fan base wanted him out. And that was because the football was still slow, still backwards, still sideways. The tactics were inept. There was a lack of adaptability. There were the wild substitutions, the inconsistent starting 11s that kept happening. His refusal to adapt, his consistent lying in post matches that he thought we started well or ended well or played well in the middle. Load of crap, mate. Why can't you just come out and say that we weren't good enough? Because guess what? Most of the games in that period, we were shit. And the reason we were shit is because you set us up the wrong way. You didn't understand the opponent. You didn't understand the league. We didn't understand what we needed to do from each game to get the result that we should have, whether it's, go away and suffer a hard-fought draw and just get a point, because however many points we finished off that top 6, it's not that many results, really. If we'd have just turned some of the results around at home and maybe got a couple more draws away or even another win or 2 away, you'd have been right in there. But you fucked it up. You fucked it up. And that is the biggest part of the whole season, where I agree with Jordan. Shit in the bed all the time. Repeatedly shit in the bed, missed opportunities, and all Blues fans that are listening to this, the ones that want to stick with him, is it because we played averagely well for 4 games at the very end of the season when the pressure was off? When the pressure was off and we played averagely well, not amazingly well. We weren't Barcelona. I mean, we nearly shit the bed against Bristol City after being 2-0 up at home. So don't tell me that it was amazing. Are they the fans that want to stick with him because they've got this short memory of how bad we were under him at one point and everybody wanted him gone? Is that the reason why you want to stay with him? Because we played okay in those last 4 games? I don't know what the mentality is, that, the narrative that's being drawn out of this. There's a lot of people saying, I think, George, you've said it as well, if he's our manager, we have to back him. I'm not denying that, because I can't. I'm not going to not support him if he's in the dugout on August the 6th or whenever it is. I'm going to be there and I'm still going to support him because it's my team and it's always been my team. It's not his fucking team. It's my team, and it's your three's team, and it's everybody that's watching its team. I'll always back the boys in blue, and I'll never, I never won't. But I just think that the memory is very short for certain fans, and they seem to have forgotten that we can have better than what we've had. Jordan's thrown all the stats out there. We can have a lot better than what we've had. There are other managers out there. There are better managers. There are better players out there, like Josh said, that are more suited to the Championship. A bit of experience to come in and nail down that midfield. Because touching back on Tommy Doyle, there was a point in the season, I think around New Year, where Tommy Doyle and Patrick Roberts, everybody wanted them as the first 2 names on the fucking team sheet. Why is Tommy Doyle not starting? Why is Patrick Roberts not starting? That's just dwindled away, because I think Tommy Doyle never looked the same after his red card at Sheffield United, in my opinion. I mean, he just didn't. I don't know what happened to him, but he just never looked the same. And Josh is right. We signed Patrick Roberts. You brought somebody in who replaced him. Okay, but let's rotate a little bit more. Maybe start Roberts one game and not the next, or give him a few more minutes. I feel like we didn't see the bloke in the last 2 months. We didn't see Patrick Roberts. He just sat in his little Blues coat on the sideline. I don't know what happened. And we're all a bit stumped as to that situation. But I want to see, he's a fantastic Championship player, Patrick Roberts. So you need to utilise him. So if he is in charge next season, that needs to be sorted out. I mean, I'm sure you lads agree on that. That needs to be sorted out. That's Davis. But I very much strongly think that there are better managers that we can go and grab, and we can get somebody in and give them a good full pre-season to get us fit and firing, and instill a style of football that is really good to watch, really, really entertaining to watch, and it matches what the other Championship teams are doing. Like Josh said about the way football's changed, and you watch your Southamptons and how fast they move the ball and how quick they counter-attack and get forward. And stop messing around with it at the back and just clear the ball, which we did in the last 4 games. But again, pressure's off, and it's too. I said this to you boys in the messages when I was away. It's too little, too late. I don't care. The last 4 games can fuck themselves. I don't give a shit about them, because it was too late. And don't try and polish a turd and tell me that we're okay and we ended well. And that's what I'll get on to now. It's a load of crap. It's a load of crap. Okay. What I'm gonna go with is a bit of an analogy to try and break it down for the people out there, the Karens of this world, the Steves of this world, the ones that just can't understand what we're trying to say. Okay, so when we try and say that the season is, let's all compose ourselves. Sorry, that's my fault. When we try and say that the season is a success or / not a failure because we finished 10th place. If I come to all 3 of you and if you quickly say yes or no, what you think of finishing 10th, and I know you've touched on it a little bit, but if you quick fire the 3 of you and I say are you happy with 10th place? Start with Jordan and work across. So are you happy with 10th place? No, Jordan's not. Jamie?
Nope.
No, Josh?
I'm going to be the other one. Yeah.
Okay. Josh, tell me why you're happy with 10th place.
My earliest prediction of the season was finishing 8th to 14th because I
Mhm.
didn't think that,
Mhm.
Davis was the man to take us up. So finishing 10th to me was in that middle part of where I thought we would be. I would have liked to finish better, but I'd be still happy with it because it was where I thought. Like you said, new manager now gives us that ability for next season to be like, let's push for that 8th spot. And we need to be looking at 8th and above. But I was happy with 10th and I'd have took it at the beginning of the season.
Okay. So then before the last 4 or 5 games where we pulled our finger out of our arse and the pressure was off, we were nearly 19th place.
Yeah.
So
that's the problem, though.
We finished 10th because we built up a head of steam in the last 4 or 5 games and we managed to claw some points. When other teams had given up and gone on the beach because they can't be asked, because they're not going to get relegated, they're not going to get promoted, Davis was trying his best, I think, to save his job and wanted us to try and play some football and get forward. So we started to pick up some results. And we managed to finish 10th place. We could have very easily, if we'd have continued in the same vein as we were playing in March and April, finished 19th, 20th place. And then guess what? Suddenly everyone is like, what the fucking hell was that season? What an absolute disaster. But again, this short memory of how the rest of the 41 games have gone in the majority is not good enough. So the analogy I'm going to use is that there's been quite a few people, and there's been some people close to us that have said, I don't know what you expect. Blues fans don't know, they're born. I don't know how they think we can get better or why they expected more at this point of the season, apart from the fact the fucking ownership basically said they wanted more, but who am I to say anything else? Let's imagine that we are a race car, okay? So you got to stick with me on this. Okay? So we're a race car, okay? For the last 10 championship seasons, we're going to enter a 24-car race, street race, okay? Now, in those 10 seasons or in the championship before we got relegated, I'm going to enter our car, Lawlor's Law car. Let's sponsor it with Lawlor's Law, okay? And we're going to drive a Peugeot 206, okay? We're going to drive and enter a Peugeot 206 with Lawlor's Law written down the side of it, all right? Now, the exhaust is falling off, the engine's shit, and the oil's leaking, all right? With that Peugeot 206, we managed to just about finish 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st. Different times. We did this for 10 years. We keep entering the same car, and we are not getting any better, but the car is shit. It's a really shit car, okay? That's one side of it. We come back up from League One, and from August or July to December, we're going to enter this new 24 race, the 24-car race with a Mercedes-Benz, because we got a bit of money now, okay? We got a little bit of money, so we're going to drive a Mercedes-Benz, okay? So from July to December, Mercedes-Benz. We've scrapped the Peugeot. It's been made into a little cube, and it's on Jordan's wall behind him, okay? It's up there. We can see it, all right? It's on show for everybody. It's on display for everybody. So we're now driving a Mercedes, okay? And that half of the season, we're pushing. We're in the top 8. We're in the top 9. We're in the top 10. We're in the top 12. We're not doing too bad. Now, come January, lads, our owners buy us a turbo for that Mercedes, okay? And we're not a Ferrari. We're not a Lamborghini. We might not be the Lamborghinis of the Coventrys of this world that are up there, that are playing so well, in the Ipswiches, who are the Ferraris. But we've got a decent car. We're a Mercedes, okay? And now we've got a turbo. We've got a turbo in January, and we're going to push even further. We're going to try and win that race. We finished 10th. The car that we had should have been in the top 6. Easy. With that turbo, okay? We should have finished in the top 6. But there are still people out there that are trying to tell me that it's the best finish in our little 24-car race in 12, 14, whatever it is years. But we're comparing a fucking Peugeot to a Mercedes-Benz with a turbo. So why are we comparing the two? It doesn't matter. It is non-comparable. This season's finish is non-comparable with all the crap that we've watched in that last 10, 12 years before, because Our squad is different. The infrastructure is different. The backing is different. The owners are different, and we're a different animal. Okay. We should have finished in the top 6 from January onwards. I'm with you, Josh. Okay. From July until December, probably, I think I said 10th to 14th. I was very similar to you at the start of the season, and I'm on record on here saying that. But from January, from that Mercedes-Benz turbo that got instilled and that quality of player that got bought, and back in January, go and watch those podcasts, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between, because I say, over to you, Chris Davis, you now have all the stimulus that you need to go and succeed. And if we don't, it's on your head. And guess what? You fucked it. All right. So I want people to stop comparing the seasons that we've had before League One to this season and anything that goes on ahead of it, because they are so vastly different. Those two different cars are such different animals. One is terrible, one is really good. And the one that's really good has underachieved. It's absolutely underachieved. And 10th place, when it could have been easily 20th, which is what I've already said, is not good enough. So I do not want to, I do not ever want to keep hearing people telling me that it's our best finish in 10 years. I don't fucking care. Okay? Rubbish. They're non-comparable. Stop it. Cut the shit out. It's not on. I'm done with it. Okay? Mad Max is officially back, and I'm sick of hearing you talking and spouting crap. Okay? Because they're non-comparable. So that's why I want a new manager. I still want him gone. He's a lovely bloke. I've told you I'll go for a beer with him. You know, I might even buy him a packet of nice crisps, packet of Piper's crisps if they're behind the bar. But I do not want to watch this man manage my football club anymore, because for 41 games, we massively underachieved. And if you lot out there that are watching this, the Karens, the Steves of the world, want to start the season in August, okay, and after 10 to 15 games, you turn to me and you turn to all of us and go, do you know what, lads, this is the same shit that we watched last year. Do you know what? We've got all them good players in the transfer window in the summer, and he's ruining all of them. He's ruining all of them like he ruined all those other players that he got back in January. Come back to me. Just bookmark me, because if he stays, I'm telling you, you can come back to this when we're recording this in May and watch me say to you, it will be the same shit again. The man is stubborn. He won't change his playing style. You need to get good players in, experienced players in, get a manager in that knows how to win the championship or finish in the top 6, an experienced championship manager. And if you're also on the horse and, on that horse of, let's let him build, let's give him more time. I'd like to see us promoted before I'm fucking dead, to be honest. Okay. So can we stop that as well? Because I don't want to be over 40 years old. My beard's gone grey. The rest of my hair's fallen out before we get promoted. All right. I want it to happen as soon as possible. So why can't it happen next year? Why couldn't it have happened this year? Because I've just watched Millwall and Hull play each other, and they're both shit. They're both crap. Hull had a transfer embargo, and they've managed to get through to the playoff final. And you're all out there going, 10th place in the championship's good with a Mercedes-Benz turbo. I'm pretty happy with that. No, you're not. Stop lying to yourself. Massively, massively underachieved this season. Massively underachieved. And lads, that is what I'm going to end with. I hope I've entertained you all, but I need to see something happen as soon as possible. And I still want Davis gone. I'm sorry. That's the camp I'm in. Not people watching this will not agree with me. And if he is in that dugout, I will back him, because I have to, because he's my manager and I love my team, and I love my team to bits. And it's probably why I get so passionate, probably a little bit too passionate. I probably need to go and have a cup of tea after this and chill out, or maybe a whiskey. I don't know. But I'm so caring of this team, and I love you boys, and I love all the group that we're in, and I just love going and see you all on match day, and it gets you through the week, and it's something to bring us all together, and we can all have a chat about it, and it lets steam off as well, and doing things like this allow that, and we can all be in the same group and look after each other and support each other and have a good time. But it's not a good time for most of this season. It really wasn't. It was boring, it was slow, it was poor. We're all fed up, and it wasn't good enough. So give me a new manager, give me new players. Let's go fit and firing, get the ones we've got fit, like Jay, and let's go and attack next season. It's going to be harder than this year, because this year was a big missed opportunity. So let's go and try and, I'm starting to calm down now. You can hear my voice is starting to lower down. let's go and try next season, because I don't want to keep waiting, lads. I just want to get back to that promised land. And I know we all hate VAR, and I can't be fucked with that. And I'll probably start that'll be my new segment if we get promoted, is Max's VAR moan. That'll be the new one, because I'll start having a go about that. But you know what? I'd rather be in the Premier League moaning about VAR than not in the Premier League, because I'm fed up of seeing those inbred bastards across the city in a European final, up the Freiburg, by the way. I'm fed up of seeing them lot across the city having all the success, finishing in the Champions League. I want us to do that, and I want us to do it as soon as possible.
And you know what, Jay? Before, like, you've not fucking said a word during this, mate, and I feel really bad. You've sat patiently.
I've enjoyed this.
You're like the school kid with his finger on his mouth and his hand in the air while I start disrupt you and go over you. But I do just want to add to what Max has said there. Hull have got playoffs with fucking Lewis Koumas in their team. Let's just point
and Kieran Dowell.
And Kieran fucking Dowell. But no, honestly, Max, you bang on. I did start to worry halfway through that you said you wanted to see us promoted before you were dead, and I thought you were going to keel over with some sort of fucking heart attack during that, because you need to probably speak to them people that you go on holiday with, you know, the Disney company, and put an advert out there and show them that this is what 2 weeks with Mickey Mouse does to you. It brings you back angrier than ever.
No, it's what you lot do to me. It's your fault.
Hey, I'm not Chris Davis.
Honestly, you've had me in absolute stitches during that. But now, Jay, I'd obviously you're the host of this, and we need to hear your opinions, because we've kept you out of it. But I'm interested to see if you can one up Max here, because we know you both can fucking go.
I can't. You can't one up perfection. That's the issue. We love Max, and it's so nice to have you back. First of all, Max, God have you been missed? This season, my review of this season is something in one word. It's been wank. It's been wank. Like, the stats don't lie. 13 losses away from home is unforgivable. Terrible. Tudging, awful performances, boring. And I'm just going to go on different segues here, so just follow my brainwave while I'm there. There's so many drop points, and we went through it the other week. We lost on average 17 points this season, 1-1 with Stoke at home. The one that hits me the most when you think about it is QPR away, where we were shit for 94 minutes, equalised and still conceded in the 95th minute after scoring in the 94th. West Brom at home, dropping points, shit in the bed. It's his inability to change his tactics is brutal, and it is horrendous to watch. I can't fathom, still for the life of me, how you can take Jay Stansfield off a football pitch at Blackburn at home, bring Brighter-Side Samuel on at right back, and then your mastermind move is to move Christoph Klar up front for 5 minutes because you're 1-0 down at home. Are you fucking alright?
FIFA tactics all day long.
Like, I have seen so many different things, like, to the point where this man is now starting Brighter-Side Samuel over Ethan Laird and making Vincente basically come back as a wing back because he doesn't trust Bright, but he's got Ethan Laird sat on the bench. Like, the favouritism this man shows is brutal, and I've said it since the start of the season. Paik and Iwata is going to cost this man his job. Paik and the undroppable move that he has is going to cost him his job. We've sent Mark Leonard out on loan because apparently Paik's got some clear information on him that will ruin his career, clearly. So what's happened? Leonard's now snapped his Achilles. Leonard's out. Leonard might not come back the same. We've lost potentially a very, very, very good centre mid because of that. The defence, the less said, the better in the first 6 months of the season. Cochrane got found out very quickly, and I know we love Cochrane, but anyone with pace absolutely abused him. I'll look at Poker in the final for Peterborough the year before last. Brutal game to watch. Neumann and Clara statistically have been the best centre backs we've had. Fact. Yeah, he still went with Jack Robinson because he wanted a left-footed centre back. He wanted Panzo. He wanted Eric Cashin. Like, he has this idea on how football's played, but can't handle the fact that other managers can actually tinker tactics. He's a fucking imbecile of a manager. He's a fucking donut. Brighter-Side Samuel is shit at football. It is that simple. Beadle, although he has class moments, can't kick for shit, and it's painful. He's just a lankier Etheridge. That's all he is to me. That's all he'll ever be. Prisk is everything we promised, and we've seen that the last 4 games. But as Max has said, we were on the beach. Everyone's been on the beach, so we just kind of went, fuck it, let's attack. Like, Gray, he's been shit. I'm sorry, I know he scored a screamer every so often, but you're at Everton 10 years ago. Stop trying to relive the cut inside and shoot and just fucking cross the ball, you div. Like, drives me nuts. Patrick Roberts, I don't understand what's happened there. You sign him on a permanent. We all wanted him on a permanent. Then 2 days later, you go, hi, by the way, this is Carlos Vincente, and now he's going to play over you. Is that all right? He can't handle criticism because every time he's been criticised, he just sends them away. Dykes, gone. Keshi, gone. Like, he just gets rid of anyone who causes a dispute with him and tells him he's not good enough. Leonard probably had an argument with him. He did. Gone. I imagine Patrick Roberts has kicked up a stink because he's not playing. Benched. Not seen for the light of day. Kanya Fujimoto. Like, I'm sick of saying this man's name with Jordan all year because every time he's been on the pitch, he's played well. He hasn't misplaced a pass. He goes forward. Like, I just don't get when you have that kind of Mercedes Benz, as we're going to call it now, with that squad, because it is. And Max, that was an incredible analogy. How you cannot form anything out of it. Like, he had all the tools to make everything this year look well and work well. The only signing who I've half gone great is Prisk. Vincente's done all right, but Wagner's been a masterstroke. But again, if we're going to whinge about anything, 6 months too fucking late. Because we said back on the first episode of Lawlor's Law, we've got one left back. Because Buchanan, I love Buchanan, but he's basically dead at this point. Like, he gets fit and re-injures himself. Like, Josh said it to me. We were talking about this earlier, weren't we, Josh? Like, he gets fit and he just dies again. Like, I feel bad for him because he's such a good footballer, but
he's had 4 separate injuries this season.
No,
I don't know how he's ever going to play football again. That's my.
I think he will.
I don't know how he will.
He'll get a Conference League or something like that. That's the only way I can see it happening.
Which is a shame because in the season that we went down, he was a bit of a shining light, I'd say.
Yeah.
Personally, I think Buchanan's really unlucky to kind of, but that goes back to the whole Alfie Chang conversation earlier. We shipped Alfie Chang off at the first opportunity after a big injury. Buchanan, we've stuck by him, and rightfully so because he did offer us something. But I still feel like there is, as you said, favouritism within it, isn't there?
Now, I know managers get comfortable in their choices. Do not get me wrong, and I understand that they have a system and they want to play it fine. But when your system isn't working, change the fucking system. Like, how hard is it to change something up? Like, it's actually mind-boggling when you look at everything that's happened this season. What did Allsop do wrong? Please, someone tell me what Allsop did wrong to get dropped. Because if I remember rightly, League One, he's got a couple of assists because he can kick the ball over the top.
Clearly was able to make a pass. That was a problem.
Davies to me is exactly the same as that vegan that Rangers had that they sacked off after a few games because he refused to change and the Rangers fans just wouldn't have it and they were protesting and they were having it off about him and they sacked him off as quick as anything. Now, if Rangers are doing it, and we've had this argument on here in the past that the Scottish Prem isn't Championship level or whatever, but if they've got the eyes to notice that they're in the Champions League or Europa League or whatever it was, and they're getting tonked by teams that they shouldn't be losing to, and he's still playing Kieran Dowell over their new signings and stuff like that, and then they go and change it up, then surely someone's got to have seen it and gone, we're having the same issue here. You know, I know a few Birmingham fans that are Rangers, a few that are Celtic, but Celtic have had it this season. They've had it where their manager wasn't changing the tactics. Unfortunately, in them types of leagues, when you're playing for Europe and stuff like that, you can't have the time to mess around and hold on to a tactic. And unfortunately, yes, we're not going for Europe. And yes, it was, you know, probably a bit of a far stretch to go straight for the automatics this season. But in the same sort of term, we were looking at chasing something. And when you're chasing something and you've got it goes stale, it's either stick or it's twist. And at the end of the day, we've stuck. And it's cost us ultimately. And I think that goes back to kind of what my answer to your question was, Max, about whether I'd be happy with 10th. If we'd have genuinely give it a go this season and we'd have missed out on the playoffs by a couple of points and we were in 10th, or we were in 8th, say, I'd be, probably a little bit more happy than where I'm at now. The reason why I'm so pissed off is because we've chased 10th. We've not dropped to 10th. We've chased 10th.
That's worked up to it.
That's the big thing. Is at no point have we been comfortable enough and dropped back. We've been dropped back and chased and chased and chased, and then dropped and then chased. It is a greyhound race, wasn't it? Where the hair was getting away from us a few times, and we catch back up, but ultimately it was just too fast. And the 6 dog gets ahead, and it's gone. That is exactly what happened. We've at no point have we been comfortable and gone. If we were 3rd or 4th at any point this season, and we finished 10th now, I'd be saying, yeah, great. I'm happy with how we finished. But the fact that we've gone from as far back as we have, and we're chasing, and then you build up momentum with Norwich away, and then you go back to chasing again for the next 3 or 4 games after that. That's what it's felt like all season. It genuinely has been, as I said at the start, so many up points from, Norwich away is my big point, is that we've struggled there. It's been one of those grounds where we've famously gone and never really got anything out of it. And then this year we finally get a win there. And what do we follow it up with? Dross.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem. You hit the highs, and to both your points and Josh as well, the short memory for our fans is that, yes, there has been them high points. Remember the fucking lows. Remember,
I'm getting to them. I'm getting to that, don't worry.
Remember West Brom where they're there for the taking, they were dead and buried.
Yeah.
And like in the 90th minute, I'm still sitting there going, what the fuck have we done?
Sorry, Jordan, I just wanted to jump on what you've said quickly, that actually in terms of results and teams that we've played, one of the biggest disappointments for me, I think, in the season was that Wrexham home game. And it sounds funny to say, but sitting there in the Gilmerick and watching us play football against Wrexham, when we played them, they were 6th. I think they might have been 5th or 6th. And I sat there, and you're watching them, Wrexham, and they didn't have a shot on target, and they barely laid a glove on us. And they really needed to get a result out of that game against us away. They were really pushing at that point, and a draw for them would have been a good result. They were so bad. So bad. And you sit there and you look and you think, how the fuck is this team 6th and we cannot get past 10th place? I think we were 7th once around Christmas or New Year after beating Watford or something like that. We're 7th. We never got any higher than that. We started the year at the top of the league, because I've seen that stat that Birmingham held top spot for one day, and it was because we started it on 0 points at the start of the season. But we never got any higher than 7th. But you sit there and Wrexham was like, again, too little too late. How have we pulled this result out? And we've played really well. Wrexham have not laid a glove on us, yet they can sit in 5th or 6th place. And potentially at that time we thought they would get in the playoffs. And how are they getting in that when we have such talent in our team, and they can't lay a glove on us, and we're so far away, or it seems like we're so far away in that league table. I just couldn't understand it. And that's why, just to say, Jordan, that game was actually, we won 2-0, but what a disappointment, eh? What an absolute disappointment.
It's the same with Leeds. You look at the Leeds game in the FA Cup, and you look at the way we played in that match, and you go, fuck me, if we did this much every season. And I think we did it on the podcast that week, and we both said, I'm sorry, James, I've completely stole away from you again here, but
I'm jotting notes down, don't worry.
I said at the time, didn't we, Max? Me and you, I think it was, that said it. We'd be so pissed off if the next game we go on and do nothing. And what happens? We go on. And this is the issue. It has been that all season. And that is where you have to adapt. In the Championship, you have to adapt. Not every team is going to play the same. Some play a low block, some play hoist the ball forward. You cannot set up week in, week out with the same tactics. Now, bear in mind, it's not the same level. I've managed at Sunday League level. I've managed at a good level. I've coached at a good level. If I'm going into a team that are top of the league on a Sunday, I'm playing a bit more defensive. I'm not setting up the same as when we've beat a team who we beat fucking 10-0 the week before, where I've gone all out attack. You have to adapt, and that is a basic in any kind of management, coaching, just in football in general. You have to be ready to adapt at the drop of a pin. And that was the same in League One. And I'm going to end with this before it goes.
Middlesbrough at home, by the way, when they dropped to back five.
But this is the thing. I'm going to end on this, and I've said it numerous times throughout the season, and I've said it in the group chat that we're in. I've said it to you boys personally. Wembley in the Virtue Trophy final was our warning shot that this was coming. It was the warning shot that we were there, and we had the chance to pick up the easiest silverware we could have ever picked up after beating that same team a week, well, not even a week before, 4 days before.
5 days, yeah.
5 days before, sorry. And then you go to Wembley and you shit yourselves on the biggest stage of them all when you are literally, this is the same Birmingham City who beat Arsenal, who were the underdogs. And yes, Peterborough have just gone and done that to us last season, but the warning shot was there that if we didn't adapt and adapt quickly, we were going to get found out. Bolton last season comes to mind. We got found out when we didn't adapt to their game. And unfortunately, the Championship isn't a place where you have the time to hang around and let it all work itself out. You can't all just sit around the campfire singing Kumbaya. You have to fucking pull your finger out and do something.
Can I jump in with a point that, going back from what Max said a minute ago, or earlier, you obviously talked about all the players we brought in January and how did we go from where we were to being 19th to being 10th. I've just tried to look through in detail every player we brought in January. So Kai Wagner coming on the 2nd of January and went straight into the team for Coventry game. Every other signing we brought in, no one played until the second game into February. So why have we brought in 6 players that we needed to bolster our team? Not one of them played for the whole month of January. And you're sitting there wondering, like, I get, obviously we look at Davis, you look at the players and stuff like this. But if you look at it deeply into recruitment, why are we signing players that are going to need 6 or 7, 8 weeks in English football before they can even step on a field for 20 minutes? We're bringing players in January that need to be helping us from January like Wagner did. And if all those players come in beginning half of January and played, we've got an extra 4 or 5 games there where some of the results weren't the best. Picked up more points that would have put us in that high position. Maybe if you've got 2 or 3 of them firing, you've got a better game against West Brom. In there, we've got Leicester. Obviously, we beat Oxford, Stoke at home, Sheffield Wednesday away, and Swansea away. Games in there that players weren't playing in. And you're sitting there going, these are results. We drew 3 of those games that should have been wins. Why have we got 6 players? 2 of them weren't even on the bench for them 6 games.
Sheffield Wednesday, I was there, was a narrow escape. Yes, we won 2-0, but there were late goals. One of them was a fucking absolute I still don't know how to this day how Kyogo scored from the angle he scored at when he's had easier chances this season. But in that one, I remember sitting before the kickoff and seeing, I think it was Osman and Vicente. No, Osman and Priska, sorry, had just signed and they were sat in the stands in their coats. Now, they'd been signed for 2 days at that point, and they weren't even in the matchday squad. Yes, I know that some players don't come straight into a team, but at that point at Sheffield Wednesday, when we were really needing the fresh legs, and we started as fucking rough as we did, then the next game you come up to, as you've just pointed out, and we still stuck with the same team that struggled against Sheffield Wednesday for 80 minutes.
Played Stoke at home. At the time of that game being played, we went to Stoke, who were 8th. We were 13th. Then we went and played 23rd place Oxford. Yeah, okay, we won 2-0. But again, it wasn't a massively comfortable game. Then we played Leicester, obviously, who were 20th. They were fighting for survival. We get a home win. And then we played West Brom, who were 22nd and got a 0-0. But like you said, 2 players sat on the bench. We played Coventry on the 4th of January, 12 o'clock kickoff. Kai Wagner officially signed for Blues on the 2nd of January at 6 p.m. So he probably had the 2nd of January with Blues and probably meeting the team and stuff. He had 1 day with the club. He came into that game against Coventry, was probably the best player on the pitch. He got an assist within 10 minutes of playing, and he made the difference. So why wasn't Prisk and Osman available for 2 days later for that game against Swansea or Sheffield Wednesday, whichever game he said it was, Jordan? But it's really baffled me at our recruitment, and I know obviously you touched on it when I said it earlier. I really don't understand what kind of players we're going for if we're having to look for players that are going to need a month or so to get in. Kyogo, like I said, come to Blues, needed a month to get into fitness, to get into shape before he could play. Kanya Fujimoto spent 6 months learning how to play English football before he could start even getting 5 minutes off the bench. Why are we, as a team that should be fighting for promotion and pushing to go to the Premier League, back in signing players that wouldn't even get into a League One team because they're not ready to play football?
We signed Marvin Duksh and he was still injured.
Yeah.
If you're
I'm getting on to Ducks in a minute. Don't worry about Ducks.
Our whole recruitment just seems to be, it's baffling me more and more the deeper you look into it, of why are we signing the players we're signing? Did we just shit the bed and panic and go, fuck, we need a big name? Oh, let's throw Kyogo in there because fans will like that. Or is this whole AI looking into stats and the AI side of shit that we're doing actually going to produce something? Because I've got the hopes of going into next season that we are going to, like you said, finish in at least the top 8 positions and get playoffs. We should be top 2. It's going to be hard. But if we're spending money again, we should be looking at top 2. That's how we want to go up realistically. But if we're going to be looking at going for the Premier League after next season, the signings need to be a lot better. We need to be, like we said, bringing players in that are ready to fire straight away, not someone that's got a 4-month gap, not played for 6 months, not been playing because it's a winter break over in America. Like, Wagner, there's an interview Blues did with Wagner that went on the Blues podcast they did, Rise, whatever it is. And Wagner said when he found out about Blues wanted him at the beginning of December, he started training again. So why are we not looking at other players that are doing the same thing? He's got the right mentality. And I think that at the moment, that is the problem, is some of our players' mentality is, oh, it's a big club, it's a big wage, I'll get paid thousands, screw it. And we don't need them. That's not a Birmingham City player. A Birmingham City player will come, fight blood, sweat and tears, and will make sure that he walks off that pitch. Look at Djukovic as a prime example. The guy limped off the pitch every game. But he left everything he could on that pitch, and that's why Blues love him. I just don't think there's players in it nowadays that have got that kind of mentality towards us. Some players have.
I definitely think that there's a lot you're right about there in terms of, I think the fitness of a lot of them coming in maybe wasn't up to scratch, and it would take them certain weeks to get back to fit and firing and ready to play. I think to caveat that a little bit, I think there is that 100%. But after watching Davis for 2 years as I have, he's very stubborn and he has his favourites. Yeah. He has his favourite footballers, and Fujimoto is one of the best examples. Is that there were teams, very good teams, chasing his signature in that summer, and he's played about 29 minutes of football, league football. How long has it taken him to get into his stride? We're saying 10 months, 9 months. I mean, the kid could have played loads more, but we just haven't been given the chance to see him, because whether there's something that Davis doesn't like, that's what I think. I think that in that January, the start of January to that February spell you're talking about, though, as Jordan said about them sat in their coats, on the sidelines, whatever, I think they could have been integrated a little bit more and a little bit more quickly. There was fitness aspects there that they weren't great for some of them, but like Wagner came straight into the team, obviously played really well against Coventry. I just think that due to Davis's unwillingness to change it as much as we wanted it to, and maybe just take a bit of a risk, just take a little bit of a risk, like at Sheffield Wednesday, like Jordan's saying, just throw a couple of these players in and let's just see what happens. Because Prisk and Jay now in the last 4 games have started to click. If you'd have started that back in mid-January, late January, after giving them a couple of weeks worth of training, we could have been really, really, really much further up of that table. If we'd have started it earlier and changed it and adapted it and given it a go, we'd have been so much better off. So I think there's definitely elements of fitness in there, which is why some of them didn't play straight away. But I'm telling you that there is also definitely a part that is Davis being stubborn, not wanting to get rid of his favourites, not wanting to take the risk, because he's not a risky guy. He wants to keep hold of the ball and doesn't want to lose it. You've got to go for it, and you've got to throw those players in. And I think if he'd have done that, even like you said, Josh, in February, from February onwards, if he'd have done it, because he still didn't do it enough. He still didn't do enough, and he was swapping and changing too much. He wasn't trying to find his 11. You'd have had better results. And, like you said about the Leicester game, I was at the Leicester game watching it. We went 2-0 up, we're cruising. Why does every game that we're winning feel like we then hang on at the end of the game? I mean, apart from Millwall and Portsmouth, probably, and Norwich. I mean, Norwich got back into it at 2-1, and we all sat back and thought, "Oh shit, Norwich are coming back at us at home." But the 4-0s that we won, apart from that, they were good. They were solidified performances. Every other game we win, we seem to just fucking hang on and scrape it every single time. QPR at home, that Leicester game at home, Watford at home. Bristol City, that Watford 2-1. I thought they were going to get an equaliser. We never look convincing because he just goes, shackles back on, sits back, invites the pressure on. It's crap. It's rubbish. So understand you're saying about fitness, but I think Davis, I'm sorry, I've got an issue, but there's a big problem of stubbornness. And I think if he'd have started and played around with it earlier on in that year, the start of 2026, we'd have seen, you'd have seen it come to fruition a lot quicker, I think.
I googled it because I wanted to just see what it said. So I've asked Google AI. Obviously, don't know if many of you use it, but come and quite handy. How many minutes has Kanya Fujimoto played this season for Birmingham City?
44.
He has approximately played all competitions 93 minutes.
I think it's 44 in the league.
It was only about 29 in the league because I know he had 45 against Port Vale.
He played 45.
46 minutes against Port Vale. He played 25 minutes against Blackburn on April the 3rd and 14 minutes against QPR on March 11th. So in the Premier League, in the Championship, they're estimating 39 minutes of football.
Yeah, I know it's in the 9 somewhere, not 29, 39. So, yeah.
Don't forget as well, as we're going to get back, Jay has been sat patiently waiting with his stats written on his hand, so we want to get back to him at some point.
You're probably melted up.
Just last thing, he was an unused sub.
Now.
He was an unused sub in 29 matches.
There's Chris Davis for you. Fuck off.
Sorry, I set Max off again. Jay, over to you, mate.
I've lost my flow now. Fuck. Right, where was I? I was going through the team where I and how shit people were.
What are your thoughts on Neumann? What's Neumann's season 2?
I like Neumann. Like I've openly said that. I said earlier, Neumann and Clara are the best defenders we have by far at the centre. Like, and I love if we had Rocky playing behind him, how we would have got on. Because Allsop for me is a much better keeper. My issues lie more further forward on the pitch. Paik, he's the biggest sideways and backwards merchant I've ever met, and I think he's great if you want to be a mid-table championship team, but he's not what we're aspiring to. Awata's good. I like Awata. I think he's solid, but on the note of solid, John Salis, you've got to sign John Salis on a permanent. I love John Salis. Some people don't. That's fine. Some people do. Going further forward on the pitch, Jay Stansfield, he's a massive, massive point for me as well. Like, I am sick to death of people saying that Stansfield hasn't been good enough. Stansfield's done this. Stansfield hasn't done this. Because Stansfield, the reason we finished 10th is because he's run his ass off every single game without fail, again and again. And yet people don't understand that and they don't respect it. When you are watching a game of football and you have that boy on his own, running at 3 centre-halves trying to get the ball, and then Marvin Dux is in La La Land debating if he's going to have a Stella or a Carlin tonight because he's a twat. Like, and he's not fucking moving. Piece of shit. Like, Marvin Dux is a prime example of, yes, does he have magic moments, but as a manager, you can't turn around your post-match press conferences, as he has a few times this season, gone, but he's got a magic moment in him, so I've left him on when we're trying to press for the ball. Like, you're a fucking idiot of a manager. It is ridiculous things to do. And for those who want Davis to stay in, that's fine. And you're entitled to your opinion, but I'm going to tell you now, it's wrong. It's very wrong. And I'm going to give you 2 direct quotes that have come from Davis himself this year. Jay Stansfield has come out in an interview and stated that he's being played as a third centre mid. Your £20 million number 9 is being played as a third centre mid in the cam role. And that's his job now. Just let that one sink in, boys. Natural goal scorer. Just play him at centre mid, it's fine. And Tomoki Iwata's a right back. Please.
And then the week after saying he's a midfielder.
Yeah, like, please, someone explain to me how the centre mid who played in the Champions League football is a right back when we have all had to watch it consistently this season. The only person he's better at a right back is bag of shit Samuel, because Bright, and I haven't even gotten to Bright yet, Bright is in a league of his own of disappointment and laziness and just if there's ever a footballer who looks like he's genuinely just thinking of anything but football when he's on that pitch, it's Brotosai Samuel. He gets confused when the ball is at his feet. He gets confused when he has to make a tackle. Like, he's quick, fantastic. Like, Usain Bolt's also really fast, but he's not very good at football. Like, it doesn't automatically make you be able to play on a football pitch his pace. Like, he has no brain for football. I don't care what anyone says. He played on the wing, the left wing for QPR when he played against us years ago, and he's suddenly now converted to the opposite side of the pitch at right back. Like, I don't understand where we've got this grand idea that someone who spent most of their career as an attacker is now a right back because he did it for Galatasaray when it's a shit league. Like, please, like, make it make sense to me. Priski's the future. Stansfield's the future. Damari Gray, I'm sorry to say it, can fuck off. He can go. Like, he's on too much money. And unless he pulls his finger out and stops trying to have a shot every time he gets the ball, because he does have magic moments, and I love Damari, but he's let me down so much this season at times. And is that Davis's tactics? Yes, because I'm convinced under another manager he would do better. But we went from having not enough players in positions to overloading positions and then panicking. Ibrahim Osman for me was better than Dimmy for the last half of the season. And if that's his injury, I don't know. Maybe.
So
Don't know,
No, I
George.
think Osman was touch and go. I think there was games where so lost in them, but then there was games where you seen his magic and you were like, "Oh, that's what we brought him in for." So the fact that he's
Jordan's head is shaking like the Churchill dog over there, so we need to let him.
Right. So my point is I completely go the opposite way with Dimmy, and this again goes back to another Davis quote of Osman is everything we've needed in going forward, and I don't want to outcoach that. I don't want to coach it out of him. You have just outwardly said you've outcoached a lot of the football out of these players, and the one person who I've seen it in is Damari Gray. Now, I've followed Damari Gray's career since he was in the academy, and I was always the one that said he was going to be the next big thing. A lot of people will tell you that. I used to see him about in town and try and have a catch up with him to see, like, hope you're doing well, I think you're going to go far, this and that. And then when he got broke into the first team, I was telling everyone, see, I told you, this kid's going to be special. And I'm not saying that, people said that with Jude and stuff like that, but Damari is naturally talented at football. He was excited to come back to this club. You can now see in his face how much he dreads a Saturday because he knows that it's going to be coached out of him. And I'm sorry, but I will die on the hill that Damari Gray is just as good as the day that he left us. He just needs the freedom to be able to do what he needs to do. Yes, okay, I agree with there's been a couple of stinkers in there this season. The one game, I'm struggling to remember who it was against, when he every shot went to the corner flag. But he was
Sheffield
playing
United at home.
Yeah. But he played the last 20
minutes.
Minutes. Ibrahim Osman, I like the bloke. I had no issue. I said a couple of times this season he's changed us, turned us around. But that's because he wasn't coached out of it. And you could tell when he was on the pitch that players were confused as to why he was allowed to have the freedom he was to run. Stano looked at him a few times angrily because he was waiting for the ball to be squared, because they'd been coached in to get to that position and Damari will cut it back to you and put it onto your feet. Osman was the epitome of come into this club and ignore everything you've been told and play your game, play football how it should be played. Now, if you go and tell all 11 of those players this season to go and play their game of football, we're looking at a complete different season. And I'm sorry, but Damari Gray is the prime example of someone who's had it coached out of him. Brotosai Samuel, I'll agree. I haven't seen anything that's lit up the world other than pre-season with him. Whether, again, that has anything to do with it being coached out of him, because when he went away with Nigeria, he looked fucking phenomenal in the AFCON. He genuinely looked a really good player. And I think Max said earlier, you're looking at if another manager comes in while he's away, he doesn't come back as a Birmingham City player. The only difference I would say with that is any manager who looked at him at AFCON would have gone, wow, what a player, because he had the freedom and he had the support in front of him. But then again, Patrick Roberts in front of him didn't fill in with enough confidence. When Iwata was doing it, Iwata would run off and Roberts was left in no man's land. Roberts was left to defend and attack all in the same pace of play. And then Asaya Samuel comes in and he's bursting forwards and then doesn't get back. And again, Roberts is having to catch back up. But then the only thing that Bright did offer is he did come back in and overlap when you need him. But then you put Vicente in there and Asaya Samuel all of a sudden looks really steady. I wouldn't say good. I'd say looks steady. But I think this is the big thing is Ethan Laird is your starting right back. All right? He has to be your starting right back. But the one thing I will add to a bit of a fault on Laird, and it's not his own fault, but I will say with the both of the right backs we have, we need to start listening to QPR fans because I think they have some sort of inferior knowledge to the rest of us because they warned us about Laird, said that he's a great footballer if you can keep him injury-free. And they said when Asaya Samuel comes in, good luck, he's dog shit. Now, you can go and look through the signing day from Asaya Samuel and look at the QPR comments. They're laughing at us. And I understand it. And I genuinely think QPR, they warned us about Dazal at the time. They said he can be a great player, but he can also go missing and he's very lazy. And Dazal was the exact same. He came to us and he had a couple of sparky moments, went missing. QPR fans know what they're talking about. These players that are coming over genuinely have been everything they've told us. Now, the one piece of advice I would take forward into that is from now on, instead of being typical Blues fans next season, when we sign someone, maybe let's listen to what their ex-club say first, because there's been a few this season that I've read when we've signed them and they go, yeah, good luck. It's not what you think you're getting. And it's turned out that way. The only one that has anywhere near kind of stood out past what other fans had said was Kai Wagner, because I see a lot being said about Kai Wagner, but that's fucking Yanks for you, talking absolute nonsense. Because, of course, Kai Wagner isn't going to be as good against Messi as he is against fucking half of the championship wingers he's had to face. He's better in the championship because MLS is fucking completely different game. But Yanks like to chat shit because they think soccer is the fucking best thing ever fucking invented. You know, honestly, I would say genuinely kind of take heed a bit more now when we're signing players. Solis, again, we were warned that when he came in that he's a bit of a loose cannon. And yes, to a point, he proved them wrong, the Girona fans wrong. But at the same time, remember the red card? Remember the red card that he picked up this season where he didn't have to fucking... But this is it. Girona warned us that this was coming. They said that he's a fucking loose cannon. So maybe next season, when we are signing these players, before we get too excited, maybe read the comments first.
Yeah. I'll dive into my last two quick points and then we'll move it on. First of all, after listening to that, Jord, I agree, and I think Dimmy is a good footballer. I do. I'll say fuck off because I'm frustrated, but my frustration lies with Davis's coaching, not with Dimmy's tactics and football ability. So you are correct for pulling me up on that. Touche. And final point, backroom staff, just all of yous, just find fucking get to and leave. Go. Please, like, just, you don't, like, Davis is a young, experienced manager. I get that. I'd still want him gone, but they can all go with him because they've all offered nothing. They're just terrible. They just stand there and they just watch the poor bloke in the mire most of the time in the game.
I'd be interested to see
Mike Taylor,
Davis.
because he's a legend.
Apart from Mike Taylor.
I'd be interested to see Davis with a different backroom staff.
I was just about to say this. We're talking about like the training the shit out of players. Well, train the shit into players, should I say? How much of that, the training side of stuff, is Davis actually leading? Because obviously we all know him as he was a coach before he came to Blues.
But he was a stat pad.
That's what I mean. But if you've got Ben Petty who doesn't really know shit.
No, I genuinely think that falls on Davis. What I mean is when Davis puts a foot wrong, you need a backroom staff behind him. Now, Ashley Cole would not have let Davis get away with half the shit that he gets away with now. But Huddleston will sit there with his arms crossed and look fucking clueless like he did on a football pitch. I don't understand the fucking hype around him. I never understood him at Tottenham or at Hull, and I never understood why people were so excited that we had an ex-international that leading us. He was never a good fucking player. He was a journeyman. He was an okay, steady Premier League player. He was never a fucking out-and-out winner. This is the thing. Ashley Cole had a winner's mentality. Frank Lampard, winner's mentality, goes on to do great things. The only one who goes against that ilk of that generation would be fucking Mr. Big Ears himself, Wayne Rooney. Josh, I'm sorry to upset you.
But this is where I was going to fight it out. I said, obviously, on the podcast a couple of weeks ago that Wayne Rooney would have done better with this team than Chris Davis. And now, if you watch it back, my immediate comment after was, look at Rooney's backroom staff.
Yeah.
And that would have been why. So Rooney's backroom staff, yes, okay, necessarily you might not put it down to Rooney, but as we know, Rooney was drunk most of the time and never at training. But he had a backroom staff behind him that would have pushed these players. So if Rooney's got these kind of players and the backroom staff that he had, now imagine that backroom staff with Davis as your manager, and you're looking at a Coventry kind of team. More people that want to win.
But look at John Eustace's backroom staff. John Eustace is the exact epitome of having a very steady backroom staff that he takes with him everywhere. That if he loses his head, will ground him. If he isn't losing his head enough, we'll be up there for him. This is my point exactly. Is look at all the managers that we've had over the years that we've taken to. They've always had a decent backroom staff behind them. The one that always pops to mind is Gary Monk, having Pep Clotet with him. And Pep Clotet then went on to be, as much as he wasn't the greatest manager in the world, become a bit of a fan favourite, whether it was given Jude his debut or not. But this is the kind of backroom staff that you need, the type that show themselves. Now, I've sat in the family stand a lot of this season, and I've seen people call Huddleston over for a picture. And the bloke literally is as miserable as a Mad Max rant. He genuinely is the most fucking downtrodden looking bloke in the world. And I don't know whether that comes across, just because he is the way he is and that's, how it is. But through football, you can't be a stern-faced, miserable bastard unless you're Marco Bielsa. Bielsa, whatever his name.
Marcelo Bielsa.
Marcelo Bielsa, yeah. Fuck me. I'm turning into another fucking Birmingham page here. Unless you're Bielsa, you can't be a stern-faced, miserable cunt. It doesn't work. Especially with a group of young footballers, because all they will do is just look around for the next person to point at. And I'm sorry, I'm going to get pelters for this because people love him, but Jonathan Grounds was never a good enough player to be a good enough coach. And I'm putting that out there now. I know people that would die on the hill that Jonathan Grounds is an icon, a legend, and this and that. And yes, if you ever see this, you know who I'm talking about. But he isn't the kind of player that should be coaching a football team that are in the position we're in. He wasn't even that good when he played for us.
He was okay. He was okay, but he's not pulling the threes, is he?
That goes back to your point about upgrading from the team we're at. Mike Taylor, yes, okay, he's a legend, and he was fucking good for us when we needed him. That's the difference. Is I remember Mike Taylor. I don't remember a lot about Jonathan Grounds.
Yeah,
I remember his wife put out a tweet, and that's why he left.
But this is the thing: is if you want a memorable coach, they've got to be a memorable player, in my opinion. That if you're going to go ex-players, they have to be memorable. That is why your Michael Carricks do so well. That is why your Frank Lampards do so well. Yes, your Gerrards and your Rooneys, maybe not so much, but 9 times out of 10, those memorable players are memorable coaches for a reason, because they have that wow factor to them, which I think is what Ashley Cole had. Players genuinely wanted to learn off Ashley Cole. Who wants to learn off Jonathan Grounds and Tom Huddleston?
Just have a look at think about Damian Johnson at Blackburn under O'Neill. I mean, they pulled themselves right out of the shit, didn't they, with that manager that came in, and they had a good backroom staff with there. And I know that Phil Jones is there, I think, as well. But Damian Johnson is the epitome of what Blues was, and the passion that he shows on that sideline when Blackburn were playing. When they beat, was it Preston in the last minute or something like that, when it was their derby, and they were all running around and going crazy. Huddleston, there's no wonder that I sit and watch Dimmy every week looking like he's going to cry because he's so miserable and sad that every time he receives the ball, like Jordan said, he has to go backwards or sideways and he can't have a go at the fullbacks like he did when he was first down St Andrews. Because I tell you what, go and watch the goal he scored against Wolverhampton at home, because that kid would just run a mile and he would run, press, and he would be right up there trying to score a goal. Now he's got bloody Huddleston at the side, whatever the fuck his name is, and he's looking over at him and he's miserable as sin. There's no wonder he's sad. And there's coaches out there, ex-players like Damien Johnson. Get Damien Johnson in. Get him at us. Force out. Fucking force out.
I was going to say,
I'm not saying force out.
Look at Forsell though. He comes down the club, still like admired as a legend, smile on his face. Fans want to see him. Now you're not telling me that someone like that wouldn't have an impact in the dressing room.
I said for him to be our next manager, and everyone hounded me for it because he's not experienced enough. But
has done good. You know, people love him in Serbia. He's still in the coaching system in Serbia. Mm-hmm. Fucking just bring him back to say light bulb.
Barry Ferguson, another one for prime example of a player that could come back and just do us something solid. You know, Oliver Teberley. Yeah.
But this is my point. It's Jonathan Grant and Tom Huddleston and the other guy,
Ben Petty.
Yeah.
Ben Petty. Yeah.
Just it's so lackluster, and I think that's the thing is change that behind Davies. Maybe then we'll see a different kind of black person. Like for fuck's sake, if Brendan Rodgers ain't doing anything for 6 months, see if he'll just sit behind him just for 6 months. As much as I don't like him,
staff also need to be able to say to him, like, look, Chris, looking at this, mate, that ain't working.
But they're not doing that. They're not doing
anything. They're not looking at any or something. They're looking at a fucking laminated sheet from fucking 4 years ago.
The stat padding and everything that comes with it is on Davies. But there has to be someone behind him that goes, Chris, mate, this ain't working. We've got to roll the dice here. We've got to switch it up for next week. And at the moment, he's not got that. He hasn't got that. And that is the one thing that I've banged on and I'll harp on about is experience, whether it's in signings or backroom staff. You need experience behind inexperience. He isn't going to learn if he doesn't have the experience to push him forward. And that is a big fucking thing. And that is my closing segment.
Cool. Shall we, because we're an hour and 46 deep, shall we move on to awards at some point?
Yeah, let's go. Let's fucking have it. I think we're all rolling.
You're out there before we finish, yeah.
Yeah, first one out there. Am I just going to come to you and give you an award and you can just tell me who you want to give it to?
Do that.
We just thought we'd do some fun awards at the end of the year.
These are Max's lovely Birmingham City FC end of season roast awards. That we'll see. George, I'll come to you first. Who are you going to award the Sponsored by Specsavers award to?
So has this got to be a Birmingham City player, or can it just be?
This one doesn't.
This is to the English Football League refereeing system. The whole fucking lot of you, from Premier League to fucking non-league, Sunday League included. Get to fucking Specsavers, you dumb bastards. I love the FA this season. They've really helped me out. Great lot. Thank you, Britain, you fucking dumb fucks. But your referees are the shitest lot anywhere in the fucking world. Even in Turkey, they know to run away if it gets fucking too ropey. In Britain, they fucking sit there and they egg the fucking fans on, they egg the players on, and they're just dumb as fuck. And that fucking shit that's going on in the Premier League with VAR as well goes to show how thick they all are. Any other league, VAR runs smoothly on time, bang, done. In Britain, you've got some dumb bald fuck that's too old to run around a pitch now with a cup of tea going, yeah, sorry, lads, I think that the decision was going down the right side, maybe. Just fuck off and get your fucking mind in gear, you dumb fuckers. There we go. That's awarded to the EFL.
The Specsavers award goes to the EFL. Jamie, for you, because I know we had a bit of a conversation about this one earlier, so be interested to see what you think. For the season's most horrific miss.
It's a tear up, isn't it? But I'm going to go Ibrahim Osman for the 3 different fucking times he's missed sitters this season. Unless, George, you've got a different one because you're holding your head in your hands.
I've got Kyogo for about 20 different chances.
Yeah.
And
I'm just thinking
Fujimoto-
Osman's hit the fucking post from 4 yards out twice and then missed the sitter against Leeds as well and skied it.
I still think Kyogo's one when he's passed through from Thor.
Yeah,
And it's 1-on-1. That for me is the missed.
Kyogo's has to be up there. And Kanya Fujimoto with the last kick of the game against Leeds. I know it was a rebound off an Osman miss, but
That one.
That was a phenomenal block, though, to be fair. That's not bad football. That's a great block.
Anywhere else, it's in.
Anywhere else that's in, and we're through, honestly.
Fine, Kanya can take it.
Max,
Give him another one. Give him another one because he didn't really do the job. He wasn't did that one. Give Jamie another one.
Okay. What we got here? The If Passion Was an Ability Award.
Oh. Who's got a lot of passion but is shit at football? Linda?
Basically. Jack Council's going to be turned his great.
Jack Robinson. Jack Robinson.
No, sorry.
Passion or anger?
You've got yourself off the pitch 20 times. Don't fucking worry about passion.
Too passionate. I don't know. That's a tough one, lads. Help me with that one. Who do you go for? Alphonse, yes.
Alphonse Samstead, yeah. I think that would work for me. Max, we'll go. I'll give you a good one now. The Booked Before Sweating Award.
The what?
Booked Before Sweating Award.
I mean, it's got to be Jack Robinson, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Surely. It's got to be Jack Robinson.
Yeah.
My God.
Any discipline one's got to be Jack Robinson, isn't it?
I mean, apart from spending his year paying off Chris Wilder and being a fucking inside man, I don't know what else he could have done. He literally walked on the pitch. He wants to scream at referees to get a second yellow just so he can have an early bath and go home and see his wife. I don't know. What a fucking loser. I couldn't be asked with him after Coventry, to be honest. He might go. I don't give a shit really about him. I just give a shout out to my wife who helped me with these because she needs a shout out because it wasn't just me. So I need to give a shout out to my wife, Lucy, for helping me with these. So thank you, Josh. You got to give yourself one as well. Come on, and choose your favourite.
Oh, let me find the one I did yesterday. So, I'm going to go for maximum shouting, clapping, pointing, and minimal end product. Ben Petty, just because I think backing off fuck all other side of the pitch. So, Ben, you can have that one, mate. We'll go with that one. I'll go this one to all three of you and see. As it's going to be a performance in general, we need to investigate this performance award.
Ooh.
What are you going to go for that?
Dimmy's substitute appearance against Sheffield United. Ring the bell.
That was coming up.
That's a good
Shout
one.
out to Samuel for 19,000 touches he's taken in the season.
Mine would be Jack Robinson picking the ball up for no reason whatsoever and giving a penalty to Sheffield United.
Yeah, to be fair.
He's getting loads of awards. He's going to get a clean sweep. Mine would be, as I like to call him, Jeremy Beadle against Norwich. Because where the fuck did that come from?
Yeah, that's a shout. That is a fucking great.
Positive one for at
Norwich
least.
away. Where did that come from?
So you're going to have to help me here. Marvin Duksh's free kick was against
Sheffield United.
Oh, was it Sheffield United?
Yeah.
Marvin Duksh, because I mean, I fucking told everyone when he came in he was a set piece fucking maestro in Germany. But why the fuck has he not been demanding to take them free kicks all season? We've scored one free kick all season. That one, like, where the fuck did that show up from? Because who the
Loverboy Pake was taking them.
But this is the thing. He's set pieces, corners and stuff. Tommy Doyle putting them on keepers and stuff is fucking horrendous. But like, if you've got a free kick taker as good as Marvin Duksh, why has he not been stepping up and going, here are lads, you know, I can take responsibility for driving a car when I've had a drink, but let me have a free kick for once, please. You know what I mean? If you can take the fucking responsibility for taking a wheel, have a free kick occasionally if you're going to do that.
He had another one in that game and hit the bar.
This
So-
is three. I think he hit the
Yeah,
post.
three. He hit the post to the bar and then he scored one.
Yeah.
Wild.
I'm going to go on Max's lines here for that last one and go for the same game, the Sheffield United game, but James Beadle, because where the fuck did that double save come from in that match?
That was good.
That was a fucking penalty save and the double save. Me and Jay are starting to tilt like, what the fuck? Who's this guy in goal? But yeah. I'll come back down with some of the other ones we've had to give you one more each. I'll start with Max. And I'm going to limit it. You can only pick one. You can't say every week. One, manager's post-match lie goes to which Chris Davies press conference?
Oh,
You're
jeez.
right back.
Yeah, that was a good comment. And that's got to be up there. I think... Oh, God, that's really stumped me. Leave it with me and do the next one, and I'll come back to you because I've got to think
for you.
Go on.
Watford away, 3-0 loss. We showed bravery.
That and the Borough game at home as well pissed me off, and the Millwall game away pissed me off as well because he still said, "Oh, at the start we were in it. We started well. You know, we were showing it." Signs. And there was I can't remember now. You're gonna have to. I know you said pick one. But I'll apologise, but there were a couple of games where we didn't have a shot on target where he would say that we were threatening. Mate, threatening? The only thing you're threatening is your fucking P60. I can't be arsed. Like, what are you talking about? So that was that. Then there was a couple of games where he did that, and I just thought, he's never watching the same game. But probably the right back Iwata one. Yeah, you got to go with that because what a wild statement that was.
Fair enough. Jamie, your last one. For repeatedly launching balls into the box, regardless of whether teammates are present.
Iwata. And I mean, they're not even good balls into the box half the time. They just go out for a goal kick anyway. But Tomoki Iwata's attempted crosses a lot of the time at right back were painful to watch.
So, sounds good enough. And then, George, your final one. For me, he worked very hard today award.
So that's Ibrahim Osman in every single fucking game, isn't it? He works really hard. He has a run down the fucking wing. But as a one-off, Kanya Fujimoto, when he comes on against Leeds, I know we've just given him for the worst miss, but he fucking come on and he genuinely just looked like a fucking dog with two dicks, didn't he? He genuinely worked really hard for that last little bit. Bless his fucking cotton. So, yeah, I've got to give it him.
And I'm going to kind of fix my one a little bit. I'm going to do for the player trying to 2-foot someone after misplacing a 5-yard pass award. Now, I'm not even going to give it to a Blues player because I ultimately think that Ipswich player that come on for a substitute appearance against Norwich, can't think what his name is, and got took off 20 minutes later because he nearly got red carded. Because the ex-Norwich player is it Nunes or something like that?
Yeah, Nunes.
Come on for Ipswich, got yellow carded within 2 minutes, made 4 or 5 tackles and should have been sent off, and then got substituted back off 20 minutes later. I'm going to give him that award because I just think it was quite funny that he did that, and it was a moment for me. But yeah, those are Birmingham City FC Roast Awards.
Can I just end with one last award? And it's a segment that we've had Mad Max. Lawlor's lay down the law, and I think it's only right we end this season with a Wanker of the Season award.
Yeah.
And, I've had a week to think about this, and I know I spoke to you boys before we come on to say I wasn't sure, and we're running up to 2 hours. So if you're still here and fucking get to this, fair play to you. But I've been kind of pushing myself between Connor Chaplin and Nathan Jones. Connor Chaplin for that first game, booting it into the Tilton and then getting absolutely fucking shit scared when Clara run at him. Nathan Jones for being Nathan Jones, but then ultimately Nathan Jones gets the Wanker of the Lifetime award because I fucking hate the little midget prick. Go back and shag your sheep. I never want to see you again. Even Lyndon Dykes can't stand you. That's why I don't want to sign the contract, you prick. But no, my Wanker of the Season is rightfully going to Mr. Mohammed Khan and Mohammed Haider. Now, if those names make any sense to you, you'll fucking know. But those two scumbags have been fucking making Blues fans' lives hell for a few seasons now. Coming down, stripping cars, hard-earned fucking money being paid to go and enjoy your fucking weekend off, and you cunts want to come down and strip cars. But it's funny enough, you fucking hid your faces and ran as soon as a fucking fan come out, didn't you? And now you've been caught. Enjoy your fucking prison term and try and do it again when you come out, because you'll fucking be faced with a few fans that now know your faces. You know what I mean? That is the biggest scumbaggery fucking going. You are literally, James, I know it's happened to you this season where someone's broken into your car during a game, and someone who works all fucking week and does a lot for their family, that's the last thing you want to come out to. It's heartbreaking. But to come out and have no part of your car left is fucking horrendous. You should be able to park your car wherever the fuck you want. And the fact that it's been happening so close to where the new ground's going to be situated is worrying. But Birmingham City Police, as much as I fucking hate these for a lot of the stuff you've done down the Blues over the years, fair play, you've put patrol out there, you've done some at this season, you've stopped them. And to the Blues fans that were affected, I just fucking really hope that you feel like some justice has been done, because you don't deserve it. We all deserve to have our break. We all need it for different things. And to come out of a ground and see that if you've got kids or an elderly person with you, or, you know, you're on your own and you're just coming down to see your mates, you don't want to leave heartbroken like that. The football's already gutting enough. So the fact that them two have been caught, you get the Wanker of the Season award. Well done, the pair of you.
I would also like to top that Wanker of the Season award with my own little one, if that's all right, George, to end it.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
The convenience store on Bolton Road where my car got broken into. You're a bunch of cunts. Because the police were investigating my situation for 3 months, and you fuckers have cameras and you refuse to send it to the police after being asked 10 times, and now they've dead filed my fucking case. So you are a bunch of fucking dickheads. Because you kept palming them off every fucking time, and I'm fuming.
I don't encourage any kind of criminal activity of any sort, and you haven't heard this from the LAWLORS Law podcast. But if you're in that vicinity and you're near that shop, help yourself to a free drink, boys, because if you go into a Blues game, go do what you want. Don't pay a visit.
we cannot confirm that is
we do not condone.
As much as we enjoy the awards, and we definitely don't condone it, can we end on a positive award?
Okay.
Can I start?
Maybe have a look
on can we? If we're going to do it personally, can we do a shout out to someone who means a lot to all of us? Tommy Kelsall for all of his fucking hard work this season. The lad's been through a lot. You know, he's dealt with a lot of shit on like at the football and away from it, and he's still every week he's the first to text us, the first to make sure that anything that we need editing, that we need cropping and sorting out, he's the first to make sure that it's done. He's the first port of call for all of us, I think. And we said last week, James, you know, we can't speak highly enough of him and his family, but genuinely thank you for all the fucking hard work you put in. Just another kind of personal shout out is to Mr. Lee Burke, because man, you put yourself about. If it weren't for you, half of us on any kind of social media with Birmingham City wouldn't have any kind of love and support that you show us every week.
You did beat me a bit there, George. I was going to say, can I give a personal fan of the year award? Obviously, we know Blues did theirs every year, and he never gets it. But again, mine would have been Blues fan of the year would have been Mr. Kelsall, because it's tough what he's been through, and I'm just going to put it out there. I don't care, but what he went through with Blues Focus at the beginning of the season, not his fault, and some of the messages he had from that. Me and Jay spoke to him most days, and his mindset was very, very negative after that. He didn't really want to be putting content out there. So keep up your good work, bud, because you're proving to everyone that you're a loyal Birmingham City fan that just wants to make content for people and make people happy, and people want to get you down and drag you down as much as they can. But absolute smash your season, and he's only going to keep going next season and doing more. More importantly, I'm going to get him very drunk at my stag do on Saturday because he deserves it.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And,
so why not?
on that lovely note, second tier podcast can suck a dick.
Yeah,
But I
second tier.
I think you all should take a mention as well, because doing these podcasts aren't easy. And you boys are very consistent with doing it every week, making sure that there's content out there for fans. Max, George, you have your segments and you keep them going, and you're very opinionated, but you're not scared to put your thoughts out there. It's a very tough world to be going into and putting your thoughts out there. So fair play to you lads as well, and big shout outs to you, because what you do is it's not easy and not everyone can do it. So big shout out to both of you as well for what you've done, and obviously Jay putting your name above the door. I think we would all be a bit lost if we didn't have Lawlor's Law here to watch or to be on and get involved with. So big shout out to you as well for taking the big step and doing them as well. So
Jamie as well, Max, before you say anything, just quickly, James, you don't take enough fucking credit, mate. You know, week in, week out, me and Max come on here and Josh, and we rant and we ramble and we leave you in the shadows a lot of the time, but it doesn't go unnoticed, mate. You are a fucking huge part of it. We wouldn't be doing this without you saying, come on, lads, let's get together every week. You know, you're the first one to text and say, like, we up for a pod. So, yeah, man, fucking fair play to you.
Love, boys.
I'll give it you, Jay, as well on a personal level, because, like, obviously I've got a lot of things going on at the moment, positive-wise, but I get a lot of negativity in life with shit I've been through. You ring me every day, 90% of the time when you're driving somewhere, and I don't think you understand how much like them calls are important to people. So a massive shout out to you, because you've been there for me when I needed you this season. So thank you for that as well.
Got you, boys, man.
I'd like to, well, if I can be the last one to say thank you, I think that firstly to all you boys as well, and everybody in the Born to be Blues group that we're in, all the content creators that we've become, we've become friends with, and we've made these friendships, and it's been a beautiful thing that's blossomed really in the last. I'm getting all emotional now. It's a beautiful thing that's blossomed in the last 9 months since we were added to it, and since we've become so close to those lot, as well as obviously we started with Tommy, and thank you to him. And I know, Jordan, me and you are probably going to get him a bar full of drinks at some point, for helping us. So thank you to him, and all his family are class as well. I love them to bits. But yeah, the lads in this group and people have been added throughout the year and throughout the season. It's opened my eyes to what's possible, and there's so much more to come. I think that's the big thing from us and from all those guys in that group. You stick with it. We try our best to give you some sort of content that's entertaining and that you want to come back for. And that leads me on nicely to everybody that watches us, because like with Blues, you're nothing without your fans. So all the subscribers that have subscribed to us and follow us week in, week out, and that leave comments and likes and share the pod as well. We'd be nothing without you. We want to keep growing. We want to keep getting bigger. And just because we want to make it a family, we want to share all our opinions, and everyone's got opinions. Like Jordan always says, they're like arseholes. Everyone's got one. So we need to keep that going, and we want to expand. And yeah, plenty of things coming in the summer. I know Jamie will probably end on it and say what we might be looking to do in the summer as a way to finish off today's pod. But just a big thank you from me to you boys, to the Born to be Blues, and to all the fans that follow us, because, we love you to bits, and thank you for making us what we are so far. But it's just the beginning, I hope. Just the beginning.
It is. It is.
On to the player, on to the awards. Come on!
the awards. This is, honestly, lads, the summer's going to be fun. We're going to be doing a lot of little videos. You'll see a lot of snippets of us if that's us doing it on our own at times. If not, we'll try and get together and still do videos, but transfer stuff's going to go up. We're looking at doing FIFA series, football manager series, stuff like that. It's all going to come up. The problem is our wonderful Mad Max doesn't game. So we're going to try and find a way to slip Max in there as well, whether that's Max commentating over Pro Clubs games for banter to get angry at us.
That'd be great.
We don't know yet, but we'll figure something out. But no, keep an eye. We're going to collab with a lot of the Blues pages this season. We're going to get on, and you'll see our faces about, and stuff like our boy in blue and his calling. You'll see us regular more on that. I've done one. I know a few of us have done them now. Just keep your eyes out, boys. We're going to be about. We're going to be ready. We might take a week or so to reprieve and relax after a 2-hour, 10-minute podcast, but we'll be back firing, boys. We'll be back firing and get angry over the summer. And we might even do some World Cup watch-alongs, but it's coming home.
It's not, is it?
Right, let me have hope. I finished 10th in the fucking championship. Let me have some hope.
I know. Yeah.
I'm just going to say keep on and leave it there because otherwise you'll get me singing.
Yeah, that's true. Do you want me to just outro this?
Yeah.
Guys, this has been Lawler's Law. Thank you guys so much. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Keep right on.
Keep right on, boys.
Um,
Wow.